Okay, this is class number 3. And as you know, I'm recording these classes now, and I've decided to start putting them on YouTube channel, so if you miss a class, you'll be able to catch up or whatever. In fact, last week's one was great. Today what I want to do is move into position play. And in order to play good position, probably the most important thing is to learn, the tangent line off the object ball when you're hitting a cut shot, when you're going to that. But I'd also like to do a little review of some of the things we've all learned so far. And really that's what pool's all about. You take baby steps, you master one thing, and you move on to something else. And you notice I have this training device here. It's quite elaborate. You'll notice that you can actually set a cue ball on this end. It's got an arrow on the other end.
Turn it over.
Oh yeah, you got to straighten your out. Good point, Eric. And you'll notice I have the red line pointed right in the center of the pocket here. You set the cue ball right here, and if any of you are having trouble with your alignment or your stroke going off to one way or the other, feel free to try this out today. I'll move it around so people can just use it. But you'll notice you can see the red lines here that actually will tell you when you're warming up whether or not you're stroking straight through. So I see the center of the pocket, I draw my line all the way back. And you notice my keys are going to be a little different than yours. But I have my chin right over my cue, and I use my cue as an aligning tool right into my right big toe. And I swing down into the shot. Remember in the first class we said no table hugging? Again, I just want to emphasize when you're standing a little distance away from the table, you can see the shot a whole lot better. When you're cramped up on the table and you get down, you have to twist around, which makes it difficult. So you notice I'm a good distance away. And let's go over the alignment process. I see the center of the pocket, right toe, chin, and cue swing down. Left foot right towards the target. Now when you're using this tool, you can actually see if you're keeping the cue within the red lines on your back on your warm-up strokes. And when everything's lasered in, and you've got it all lined up, just simply let the cue go. And just see how smooth the cue goes through. It should go through about 4 or 5 inches. Oh, I see Michelle's here. Okay. Here's today's lesson. How you doing? Good. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on that because there's several other things I want to do, but this is available for you to try out today. Okay, I do want to read the quote on today's lesson. This is one, I'm not sure who said it, maybe I did. I just thought it was a good one. Whenever possible, play position into the line of your next shot, not across it. Into the line of the next shot, not across it. And I'll demonstrate an example of that. And the whole idea of playing position this way is to maximize your margin for error. Now you notice I have all these stickers lined up on the table here. Let me go ahead and grab a cue ball. And we'll make believe we're in a game of 8-ball. We'll put the 8-ball right down here. Now what does it mean to play position into the line? Okay. Well, this is a perfect example. We'll imagine that I have one stripe left on the table and I'm trying to get position on the 8 to win the game. All right. Now you'll notice right away that if I figure out the tangent line on this shot, in other words, here's the center of the pocket, here's the contact point of the cue ball. The tangent line is always a 90-degree line off that ball if the cue ball is skidding without spin, backward or forward. So it should hit right there. And guess what? If it goes into the rail at this angle, it's going to come out at the same angle. So it should come right towards diamond number 2 and slide towards the 8 ball. And we call that going into the line. What would crossing the line be? Crossing the line would be to hit the rail here and come across like that. And you notice the margin for error is very small when you play position that way. But if I play position into the line, I come into this diamond and I roll towards the 8 ball into the line. And you'll notice my margin for error, I could stop anywhere in this area and still have a good shot on the unit. But this is real important when you start to play lead pool and things like that, because you enhance your odds and your ability to get, position a lot closer. No English, just a center ball stun shot. And you notice the cue ball rolled into the line of the next shot. That one I hit a little forward roll, which made it come in more to this diamond. Let's try it one more time. See if I can't get it right into the line of the 8 ball. Simple stun shot, no forward roll, no backward roll. And that's a little better. And you notice rolling into the line of the shot. Very important. Now, last time we talked about the stop shot, okay? The most important shot in the pool. And let's just go over that a little bit, because I think the stop shot is the main shot to learn when you're trying to develop a good stroke. Now, let's take a shot like this. In fact, I'll put the 5 ball right here, and I'll put the cue ball here. Now, one of the exercises that the Moscone Cup team uses, and that's our best players in the United States, is they set up stop shots from different distances. And like when you're warming up to play a match or a tournament or a league or whatever, it's probably the best exercise to do to get your confidence and your stroke going. But you'll notice on this particular shot, I'm going to play the 5 in the corner. I'm going to do all my alignment techniques, swing down, take my nice warm-up strokes. But you notice on this shot, I don't need much stroke to stop the ball. The cue ball is nice and close. I'm hitting it almost dead center. Stay down until you hear the ball hit the back of the pocket. What happens if you move the cue ball back a little further, another 6 or 8 inches? Well, the secret of playing good pool is that I don't have to hit this ball as hard as I hit the last shot. I just go a little bit lower on the cue ball to make it stop. And that way I don't have to slam it so hard. So you'll notice I'll take pretty much the same stroke on this shot, but I'll hit it just a little bit lower. Stay down until you hear the ball hit the back of the pocket. Now, you move the ball back a little further. And I highly recommend doing this in your practice routine. And just learn where you need to hit the cue ball to make it stop from different distances. It's probably one of the most important fundamentals in pool. Now this one's a little longer, so I'm going to have to hit the cue ball a little lower if I want to take a nice easy stroke. Now the secret to being a good pool player is not slamming balls when you don't have to. Because there's something called pocket speed. If you hit it harder, the pockets aren't going to accept the balls. But if I can hit this a little lower and still stop it at a nice moderate speed, I don't need a lot of stroke. Watch how easy I hit this. Now you saw me hit 3 stop shots. Did I hit one harder than the other? Or were they all about the same?
Those are the same.
I highly recommend trying that exercise today. I think you'll have some fun with that.
So that's an immediate feedback.
Oh,
Hit
yeah.
the ball and get it to stop from whatever. You're in a stroke at that point, you don't have any roll or turn or anything. You're basically in a stroke.
And what I did there looks easy, but it's not. To make the ball stop from different distances, you know, if you can do that and develop that in your game, that will make you a much better player because it's the basis of a good stroke and it's also the basis of playing good position. All right, today on the drill number 1, I want you to, I have these little stickers all over the table. I want you to try some of these drills. In drill number 1, I did a stun shot and I played position for the ball into the line. But what happens if we now use a high rolling ball? The stun shot hit about right here, right? Now if I hit a high rolling ball with the ball rolling forward immediately, where would the cue ball hit on the table? Back here somewhere. Well, let's see where it goes. Swing down all your... Look at the difference. A stun shot hit here. A rolling ball hit here. Now, one of the things I like to tell classes is that you don't need a lot of English to move the cue ball all around the table. You can get there with high rolling ball, center stun, and draw. And you can almost go anywhere on the table with that. Now with draw, in other words, with the cue ball spinning backwards, where would you think the cue ball is going to land? Right. Let's see how far down the table we can get it. And you notice most people, when they draw shots, they don't put the cue tip low enough. You notice that the tip I have is rounded like a dime or a nickel. But when you lower your bridge and hit it below center, you got to remember the part that contacts the cue ball is the top part of the tip. So you have to put it lower than you think. If you watch pros, they look like they have their tip almost down by the cloth. And that way they don't have to use so much power to make the cue ball draw back. But let's see how the draw stroke will change the shot here. Okay, draw here, stun shot here, rolling ball here. So you can imagine just from this simple little shot that you set up, you know, you can put the cue ball almost anywhere on the table. Any questions so far? Is it? Now I have another thing set up too, and let me kind of go over that. It's always fun to practice side pocket shots. And we can kind of play a guessing game on this one too. And by the way, I have a table down there set up for lefties, so that should be no problem. Now what we're going to do here on this shot is I want you to think about what a stun shot, where a stun shot's going to go, where a rolling ball's going to go, and where a draw shot's going to go. All right, if I shoot the 9 in the side pocket and the cue ball skids to the 9, where on the rail do you think it's going to hit? First diamond. First diamond?
Middle diamond.
Middle diamond. All right, let's see. Again, see where the center of the pocket is on contact point. Half ball out. And again, these fundamentals, you know, keep drilling them. Swing down, get your nice warm-up strokes. On this one, I'm hitting a dead center ball, and the cue ball is going to be skidding right into the 9. Center diamond. Because the 90-degree line of the tangent line is right here like that. In fact, a good way to determine that, I'll use a piece of paper. If if I put the 15 ball right on a piece of paper here, a 90-degree line you can see will take the cue ball right to here every time, as long as I hit a stun shot. But now let's look at the rolling ball. Anybody want to guess where the rolling ball will land?
First diamond on the left.
Okay, that should be pretty close. And again, all your fundamentals, you want to raise your bridge a little bit, up and down like that. You don't want to elevate like this. The only time you elevate is when you have to, okay? Very important fundamental. In other words, the ball's going to be rolling immediately. I have it hitting it significantly above center. Pretty much right into the first diamond. And again, speed will affect that. The harder I hit it, it'll creep more towards this side. The easier I hit it, it'll go further this way, because the rolling ball will take effect soon. All right, the draw shot. And when you're working with your partner on these drills, this is really what the game is all about, learning to control the cue ball. Where's the draw going to land? And again, this will be determined by the speed I hit the shot. If I hit it real hard, I probably won't get as far over. If I hit it softer, I'll get further towards the pocket. And you notice I'm hitting it significantly below center. Okay, just a little bit time, and you can see the ball. It started on the tangent line, and all that backspin took effect and moved over here. And again, yeah, you can see it kind of. But have some fun with this. Work with each other. Make sure that your partner's lined up when you're doing these drills and getting feedback. Tom and I will be coming around to help you with that. Any questions so far? I did want to give you a couple of fun drills too to play with. The 6-time world snooker champion, Steve Davis, I don't know if you ever heard of him, he's from the UK. He used to work on this drill 45 minutes a day. And he did it on a 6x12 snooker table. And I highly recommend this to get your stroke going. Now you'll notice I have the cue ball on the spot, and what I'm going to try to do is shoot directly at the middle diamond with a nice smooth stroke, and we'll see how close the cue ball will come back to hitting my cue tip. It's a lot harder than it looks. And again, alignment's real important. When you swing down, make sure that everything's lined up with that center diamond. Oh, I had English on that one. I can see it. Let's see if I can get one. I'll just try it 3 times. But then just work on this, and you'll be surprised how smooth, how much it'll improve your stroke. Anyway, for those of you that are more beginner, you can try it this way too, and use it, towards the diamond here. Practice going in there and back. Anyway, have some fun with that one too. Okay, any questions on any of that so far? One thing that I like to do that some of you more advanced players might like to try out, when you're shooting these shots, when I give private lessons, this is what I do with students. I'll set up a shot like this with the stickers, and then I'll just take another ball, we'll say the 8 ball, and just throw it on the table, anywhere. And then I'll have the students say, well, I want you to get the position on that 8 ball. And you practice in different ways of getting to the 8, which some are easier and some are harder. Let's just look at this case right here. What would be the best way for me to get position on the 8 ball here?
Well, you can't stop it. You have an angle. You're going to get a stun shot on it. So maybe a light stun.
Okay. Light stun should take it right to the center diamond and back out to here, right?
Yeah, sort of my idea.
I like it.
Yeah.
Anybody else have another idea? Anyway, you're welcome to try this out too. It's kind of fun. It gives you a challenge to work on. And in a league, these are the kind of shots that win you games. And so we'll just try a light stun. Dead center ball. Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah.
I like it. You want to try one more and just for fun? Okay. We'll put the 12 on here. Just take the 8 and run it around the table. Don't hit that. All right. What are we going to do here?
Draw.
All right. Remember, draw came to here. Rolling ball in here. Now, here's a rule I want you to always remember. Draw is the hardest shot in the game to control. Rolling ball is much easier. So what I would do here, if I was playing for the cash or in a tournament, I would simply hit a rolling ball to there and bounce out right behind the gate. Draw would be much harder because it would be harder to control it off the rail because you have to stroke it harder. But I would just hit a simple rolling ball like this. Not bad. The draw, I would be afraid of hitting it too hard and bouncing too far off like that. Any questions? Everybody's quiet.
I have one question.
Sure.
You said normally you don't need to put right or left hand English on
Yes.
the ball, but what would be one of the top 2 situations where you would use right or left English?
You know what, Gary, that's a great question, but can we wait another class?
Sure.
Because, you know, I think it's really important that we work on the center axis and mastering that before we move left and right. And I know some of you are more advanced than others, but we'll get there, okay? There are a lot of shots that require English, and we'll talk about that. But let me, you know, since you asked the question, the main thing about English that people don't understand is that English has very little effect. In fact, it has a negative effect on pocketing the actual ball. The whole reason that you use English is what the cue ball is going to do after it hits the first rail, you know, for playing position. But when you're using English, the reason why I'm hesitating talking about it now is because you have to compensate for deflection and the curve of the cue ball, you know, which takes a lot of work and a lot of, you know, time and effort.
Probably most of our English is inadvertent.
Yeah. In fact, that's probably most of you hit the nail on the head there. Okay.
You have to make a contact with the ball. Because it actually makes the ball spin.
Okay. You know, that's another good question because like in this cut shot on the 8, even if I don't use English, look what happens when I cut the ball. It turns the 8 ball like this, doesn't it? Because the actual act of cutting it turns the ball towards the pocket. So there's a little bit of what we call throw on every cut shot. Okay. But with English, you can take off the throw or accentuate the throw. All right. Anything else? Good questions. Okay, are we ready for some game-winning shots?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll get you playing here in a minute. You'll notice that a pool table is half as wide as it is long, and you have these little diamonds on the table. Now, a lot of times, and I've seen this happen many times, you'll have shots where you're either hooked in some way, maybe something like this, and you have stripes, let's say, and you're on the 8 ball that's hanging in the pocket. Now, since a pool table is half as wide as it is long, it pretty much makes it fairly clear exactly how to make the cue ball hit one rail and where you can determine it'll go on the next rail. Now, everybody can see that if I hit that center diamond with a rolling ball, it should take me right into the 8, right? But I wanted to point out a few nuances that are involved with this. Watch what happens if I hit the cue ball firmly right at that diamond. I'll hit a center ball and I'll hit it firm. Look at how short it came. In other words, the harder you hit the ball, the shorter the ball will go. Now watch what happens if I hit the cue ball real easy. In other words, the system is based on a smooth rolling ball, not when you hit it hard. Okay? and that's extremely important when you learn how to, kicking the balls off the rail and things like that. But a lot of times you'll have the 8 ball in a position like this, and you'll have obstacles around like here. Okay, now what do we do to make the 8 ball? 3 rails, okay? Now there's a whole elaborate diamond system, and I'm not going to go into that today, but basically I just know that if I hit the cue ball into this diamond with a nice smooth rolling ball, it should take me right into the 8. And this is something that you'll learn as you become more experienced in the game. Let's try it one more time. It went a little bit long. Okay. So I'll adjust a little bit. That went a little longer, didn't it? Oh, that's going to go line even more easily. There. A little extra English there. Anyway, now we have a situation where let's make it even tougher. Let's put the 8 ball back here. And now we've got obstacles all over the place with the cue ball here. Now how do we make the 8? You remember from last?
Get it into that corner and it's
Yeah. Kind of like this. Oh. Getting closer, 3 strikes and I'm out. I think the rail is one more time. Now I'm getting frustrated. Well, you get the idea. But anyway, this shot actually comes up in real games, and it's fairly common. Now, one last thing I want to show you is what happens when you have a 2-rail shot. Let's say your cue ball is like here, And this is a real simple way that, you know, like if you're an APA or BCA AZ and you have a shot like this, you really can't even go one rail to hit the 8-ball. So how would you hit the 8-ball going 2 rails? Well, there's a real simple way to figure this out. Remember how we used the midpoint in our beginning class? Now, if I find the midpoint between the cue ball and the 8-ball, which would be right here, all I have to do is hit the cue ball on a parallel line. In other words, the midpoint between the cue and the 8 is right there. So if I hit the cue ball on a parallel line, it should take me right into the 8. And this will work from all different distances. Let's move the cue ball out of it. I find the midpoint between the 8 and the cue ball, and I hit it on a parallel line. Move it out a little farther. Find the midpoint between the 8 and the cue ball. Parallel line. Oh! A little more easy. And again, you can usually make contact and avoid getting ball in hand, so it's a fun little way to learn how to make contact with the ball when you're hidden behind the ball. Okay, are you all ready to work on your drill? Okay, let's all grab a partner and, you know, get going. Tom and I will be coming around. And if anybody wants to play with this, they're welcome. Yeah.
What did I miss last week?
Oh, I've got your